All right, so if you're someone who's on a path of personal development or growth or spiritual development, what I'm going to do in this video is share with you 3 things which I think will really help to exponentially increase the amount of results, the amount of progress that you'll get from your practice, whatever it may be. So what I'm going to do is point out the main 3 blockages, the main 3 hindrances that really keep people from growing and from directly accessing cosmic knowledge or spiritual knowledge or timeless wisdom or whatever you want to call it. So what I'm going to do is point out the blockages. And now some people might be thinking, oh, well, that's so negative. You shouldn't point out the blockages. In reality, I see where you're coming from, but it's a little one-dimensional. It's not really appropriate for what we're talking about here. Because life is really flowing energy, right? We can all pretty much agree on that. And let's say you have a hose or a channel of energy, and if that channel of energy is blocked up, you don't really need to do anything other than remove the blockage, and then energy will flow, because that's what energy does, because that's what the universe is trying to do. So that's why I'm taking this approach in this video, and why many of the other videos I take a similar approach as far as just removing the blockage so that life can do what it needs to do. Second, why I'm doing this, how I came up with these 3 things is just through reflecting on things that I've been through and things that I've just been going through my psyche, and just kind of putting them down on paper and realizing and just processing them and digesting them. So that's why I'm making this for you. So number 1, the main blockage, the main hindrance that people have when it comes to growing spiritually or developing personally is that, number 1, the belief that I'm not worthy, or who am I to access this information? And that usually has tied in with the belief that the information or the cosmic wisdom is somehow hidden and is only acquired by finding people who possess it, which that really rings true, because there's a lot of gurus taking advantage of a lot of people for that very reason, because they think, oh, who am I to access information or to achieve anything that I want? Oh, I gotta follow my guru for 80 years, and then maybe next life I'll reincarnate in a better life, and then maybe I'll be able to achieve this, blah, blah, blah. It's like, that's fine if you want, but actually right now, in this immediate moment, you have access to the same knowledge and information that that person supposedly does, and any other person supposedly does as well. And that's just the nature of reality. And we'll get in deeper into that as this video progresses. The next belief that kind of ties in with that, which is a really kind of a pet peeve of mine, is that a lot of people believe that being spiritual or conscious or personal development or whatever you want to call it is in some way special or supernatural. And that really just opens the door for like just arrogance and just a lot of piousness and just a lot of things that are pretty annoying to most people. And I'm sure if you're someone who's been in this scene for a while, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But what I want to do to illustrate that is a quote which really crystallized things for me. And it's from one of my favorite books called The Unknown Teachings of Lao Tzu by Brian Walker. And it says, "Chanting is no more holy than listening to the murmur of a stream. Counting prayer beads is no more sacred than simply breathing. Religious robes are no more spiritual than work clothes." And that quote basically sums up and explains my point exactly. Now, you don't want to do what I do and say that to other people who believe in such things, because they usually aren't going to react very well, but, you know, learn from my mistakes, put it that way. So that's the first main point that I wanted to make. The second is that oftentimes we can get caught up in talking about being holistic rather than actually living holistically. And one example that I really love, and is another kind of pet peeve, is that a lot of spiritual people, quote, kind of agree and claim that, you know, dude, everything in the universe is the same energy. It's all one. It's all the oneness. It's all interconnected. It's all the same. On and on and on and on. There's many different ways that people say that. And again, if you've been in the scene for longer than 10 minutes, you've probably heard somebody saying that, or you've probably said it yourself. So that's the first premise. But then what I love from that is many times, and a common thing, is people are like, yeah, dude, but money's bad, or being abundant is bad, or having physical abundance are nice things, or expressing yourself in the physical world, that's bad and you shouldn't do it because it's not spiritual. But it's like, wait a minute, you just said everything is the same energy, but only this side of the energy is good and only that side of the energy is bad. It doesn't make any sense. So if we just follow that logic, it basically means either it's all good or it's all bad, or it's really neither. There's no middle ground. If we say everything is the same energy and everything comes from the same source, it's the same consciousness, then we can't really say, well, this is better than this and this is better than that, because it's contradicting ourselves. So that's just one example. There are many others which I could go into, but I'm not going to. The second part of this aspect is kind of buying into the myth of the mind-body connection, which is a thing that people pay a lot of lip service to. Is like, oh, dude, the mind and the body, they're connected. It's like, really? They're connected? So basically this thing over here and this thing over here, which are inherently separate, are connected somehow, mysteriously and magically. And then people are like, yeah, totally. And they get all excited. It's like, I was like, really? I mean, that's fine, but basically that's a false dichotomy. Because if you look at me right now, I'm one person. If you look at yourself, you're one person, and you don't actually see any sort of division between the supposed mind and the supposed body. Because you talk about your mind, where is your mind located? Oh wait, it's actually in your body. Can you talk about your mind without your body? No. Can you talk about your body without your mind? No. So then where is this quote division, and where are these two things that somehow need to be connected? So that ends up leading people to spend their lives talking about being holistic rather than actually living holistically. And to be holistic means basically to be at one with the cosmos, or which is, you know, by our nature, that's exactly what we are. When we're born, we're one with the cosmos. When we die, we're one with the cosmos. We don't have to do anything or become anything or devote ourselves to any guru or meditate for 80 years or fast or cleanse or don't eat this or don't eat that to achieve that, because it's us already. We're born that way, and it's just it's just how things are, you know. You eat food through your mouth and you listen to music through your ears. I'm not saying that's good or bad or positive or negative. It's just how it is. It's just how life is constructed. So there's some things like that we just have to accept. So the only thing that really is to do is to just cease believing in the false divisions and just accept our true nature as being one with the cosmos as our birthright. So hopefully that makes sense. The third and final aspect, which really ties into the previous two, is suppressing our animal nature. And that's something I've talked about in the past because it's a big deal and it's really important. And it's usually a result of thinking that spirituality or personal development means to develop some higher aspect of you at the expense or the suppression or controlling of the lower. And this is ubiquitous throughout many different spiritual or religious traditions, whether from, you know, European descent or from Asian descent. It's just ubiquitous, and it's really insidious and pretty harmful when it takes root in your psyche and gives rise to many of the other things which I've talked about. So again, this is a fictitious dichotomy, because by suppressing our animal nature, we're basically cutting ourselves off from the very thing that connects us to nature, to our instincts and to our common sense. And then in this context, for people who want to be like psychic or develop higher faculties, it's only happening through the physical body. It's only happening through tapping into the instincts, through integrating the animal nature. There's really no real set in stone way around it. And if you want to look at examples of, quote, psychic abilities or supernatural powers, like, go look in nature. Look at birds flying in the sky with instantaneous or what is some kind of communication we don't even understand, where there's thousands of birds and they move all as one, or fish, or I mean, just the examples go on and on and on. And that is a level of functioning which is something that we humans really can't do, because try to get 1,000 human beings to move as one without talking or without saying anything, without any outside direction, and tell me how that's going to turn out, because it's probably not going to work out very, very good at all. So we can see that, oh, well, they're tapped into their animal nature. They haven't bought into the symbolic reality which we bought into, which says this, that, higher, lower, good, bad, all those different things, which then cuts us off from the very thing which connects us to nature, to our common sense, and also to our like really good health. Because if we want good health, it's obviously coming through the body, and if we're suppressing our body and our animal nature, it's going to harm our health, which is going to harm our spirituality, and it's going to just basically hinder the whole process. So hopefully that's been beneficial and helpful for you. I actually, had some good notes and spent quite a bit of time trying to crystallize and get these ideas down on paper, because it's a lot of things that have been going through my head and things that have been really facilitating my own growth over the last few years. And I know, I'm no like a Buddha or anything. I'm a human being just like everyone else. So I go through the same journeys, I go through the same trials and tribulations, I go through the same lessons. So hopefully by me sharing this with you, maybe you can get a light bulb now, or maybe it's just planting a seed in the future to where you can say, oh yeah, there's that. And you can just sidestep around it and don't have to get caught up like I have in the past. So hopefully that's been helpful. If you have any questions or comments, post them below, and I'll talk to you soon.